put our hands together for Barrister Nike Olawepo to talk about the attitude of self-esteem.
I must commend the MC. He has done a good work. Was talking about lawyer. I remember one day someone said, my office brought a marriage certificate and he said, this marriage was consummated. And I said, consummated? I said, this marriage was never consummated. They were married. They didn't know that they were married. They went to marriage registry thinking they were to take Form C. They didn't know that the marriage was actually performed and they were giving marriage certificates. They wanted to come and buy marriage and he said, no, the marriage has been done. And so he wanted to tell them the marriage was done and he said the marriage was consummated. So I told him the marriage was never consummated because they never slept together anyway. But so sometimes when the lawyer is speaking, you may be thinking he's saying something different and he may be saying something totally different. The marriage was never consummated, but yet to us, when the man and the woman is joined, the marriage is consummated. It is never late to be a lawyer. In my class, I had a man that was about 90-year-old. And so, it's a good thing to be a lawyer. And all of us can still be. To start with, I'd like to appreciate the privilege given unto me to be here, to be part of the winning team. That's the youth. I'm still a youth. And I want to appreciate the convener of the program. I want to appreciate everyone on this seat. I want to appreciate everyone in this hall. And I know that we shall all be blessed. In Jesus' name. Sorry, I'm used to the church setting. This morning we are going to speak. I'm going to be having a talk on the attitude of self-esteem. The person who gave the keynote address told us about the fact that getting a skill is not enough. Having the knowledge is not enough. If you don't have the right attitude, you will not be there. It's only when you combine your knowledge with the requisite skill and the right attitude that we can be talking about competence. And that's what we are here today. The last speaker spoke about the fact that he was self-motivated, if I could call it that way. This is somebody who didn't have a certificate, yet he has given so many certificates out. I would say he wrote his life script by himself. And that is competence. Is there any better definition of competence? No. What is self-esteem? Wherever people are, you will find attitude, display of emotion, personality and beliefs go alongside. And it also involves how our perceptions are modeled. This attitude, emotion, and personality and beliefs combine to form a complex psychological trait called self-concept. And self-esteem is just a part of self-concept. This morning we are talking about how you see yourself. When you got the message that you have been sent to school to read business administration, I think I got it, said, practice what you are learning. If he has not seen himself that something good could come out of himself, then he will not even do anything. Probably he will go and be doing something or borrowing money. And then he will become a shadow of who he should be. But that message prompted something out of him. And he was able to pull out the person that he is, or he was, and he still is. And then he was able to push forward and become who we are seeing now. Self-concept is everything that an individual believes is descriptive and true about himself or herself. And every one of us, either as students or as a young professional, we all need it. How do you see yourself? How do I see myself? Do you know that people that when they give you a description of themselves, even you will be surprised? Are you describing someone else or yourself? So when you have skill, when you have the requisite knowledge, but you don't have a good perception of who you are, you will be living below your value. So I believe that it is very important to what we have come here to do. In short, self-esteem is a very fundamental belief and attitude that people have of themselves, and is a major determinant of their thoughts, their feelings, and behavior as they interact with their environment, either in the school or at workplace. If someone does not see something good about himself, it doesn't matter the height you place him, the result will be negative. It is a self-evaluation of one's competence, which ultimately manifests itself in the degree to which the individual likes himself or herself. I've seen people who, by the virtue of what comes out of their mouths, you know that they don't like themselves. And this could be as a result of probably their background or their past experiences. Children who are raised in a home where nobody ever told them, I love you. Nobody ever sees something or ever saw something good in their life. When they wake up in the morning, the parents, begin to raise costs from as soon as they are waking from bed. And so they live with the description people have given them. Maybe parents, maybe relatives, maybe uncles they have once lived with. And so their definition of themselves is that this is no good. And yet when you see a child that is raised in a home where love is around him or her, and then they say good thing about him or the environment is favorable, you see naturally things work for them. Because they have good self-esteem. In my relationship with youth, I have seen people get into a relationship, and when you ask them the reason behind it, sometimes some feel, I'm already getting late. Is that the reason? So when you get into the marriage, what happens? And somebody say, I just like him. Or you just like the physical appearance. What tomorrow? Something happens. And then the physical appearance is no longer there. Because the way you see yourself is the way you are going to see other people. One can have self-esteem associated with any of life's many roles. Roles that our parents have played in our lives, roles that relatives, friends, the environment have also played in our lives. So what is an attitude? To be defined, though not formally, but to define an attitude this morning, I say is a feeling and a way of thinking that affects a person's behavior. Do you know that people that relating with them, 30 minutes, you get irritated? It may not necessarily be their fault. It may be as a result of what they have passed through in time past. I had a friend that throughout our university days were never friends. In fact, 95% of my classmates, no one was ready to relate with her. Until when I was going through my master's class. And then, of course, we were more matured. Somehow, we became close. I remember one of the classes, she's also a lawyer. She did something and someone came to meet. I said, I heard that you and this girl, you were in the same class where you were in the university, and that you were not relating. How did you cope with her? Of course, none of us knew what was wrong with her. All we knew was that she was just irritable. She was not just accommodating. She was, if you stay with her 30 minutes, you get irritated. Until when it was time for us to write exam. So she has to stay with me in Ife. She has to stay in my auntie's house. And then when she got talking with my auntie, she now told my auntie that her mother left her as a baby to follow a friend to London. So someone raised her, and her father was a polygamist. So you can imagine rivalry and all sorts of things that she went through. As a matter of fact, she got married in part 3, and she was living with the guy in a room, almost, in fact, less a room. You couldn't even call that a room. So she had lived her life believing that life is about rivalry, life is about race, nobody likes her. Of course, you will not expect the best for her because she has lived with that mentality, and that describes it. So whenever she meets anyone, in fact, the day I decided not to be her friend, it happened that day that there's a restaurant we used to eat at, close to High Court in Ikeja. I went there to eat that day. We usually go together, but that day she was not with me. When I got there, they were telling me, my friend, the lawyer, fought. She fought. The other woman tore her dress. I felt ashamed. But then that has always been her life. She always believed, she always on the defensive. In fact, offensive. So when someone has seen himself or herself in a bad light, there's no way it will not reflect. Even if he has first class. When he gets to the place of work, the attitude will not be able to maintain what he has with him. An attitude to a psychologist refers to a set of emotions, beliefs, and behavior towards a particular object, a person, a thing, or event. Attitudes are often the result of experiences or upbringing, and they can have a powerful influence on our behavior. So attitude actually are judgments. Because of what you have passed through or what you have seen, then you have a judgment in your heart. And with that, or that scale of judgment, you judge circumstances, you judge people, you judge events. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem relates to how much you like yourself, how you see yourself. You can say it is self-value, self-respect, your self-assessment. And so, if you have to assess yourself and you have to value yourself, and after the evaluation, you don't have something substantial, it means that to give out of what is meaningless, you will not be able to achieve so much. Then, I just need to quickly, because I have less than 2 minutes. We have high self-esteem, we have low self-esteem. To be too high may tend to becoming pride. I remember when the person who took the keynote address was telling you, I said, he mentioned something from what he read. He said, when you get outside your office, let your position not be in your head. You should seek every opportunity to help others. When your self-esteem is too high, it tends towards pride. When it is too low, it is not useful to you, it is not useful to anyone. So you need to maintain a positive self-esteem. You have maintain a positive self-image. So when you have a positive self-image, you're able to achieve a happy, gratifying, and powerful life. And unless you perceive yourself as worthwhile, you cannot have self-esteem, a positive self-esteem. All great world leaders and teachers throughout history have concluded that one must be internally driven in order to be successful at whatever you do in life. Even as a student or as a young professional, it's only when you have positive self-esteem that you can achieve success. People with high self-esteem or positive self-esteem, they grow in conviction. Like he told us. He said that he just believes that where there is a way, where there's a will, there's a way. Because you are convinced within yourself that you can do it. And that does not mean that there will not be opposition. That does not mean that there's not a ready market for what you want to do. But when you are convinced, you believe that you have value that the world is looking for. You have the respect that you can do it. You have that I can spirit. You are convinced. Then your self-esteem will make you to grow in your conviction, leading you to becoming that which you have envisioned yourself to be in the next 5 years, 10 years. You can grow in competence. You can also grow in your willingness to accept responsibility. Let me quickly run through advantages of having positive self-esteem. You build strong conviction. You also create willingness to accept responsibilities. He said, I'm sorry, I'm using our last speaker as my classical example. He said his parent told him, leave what you have been trained for as a business administrator. If he had not accepted responsibility of leaving it, he wouldn't be able to do that. Someone with good self-esteem or positive self-esteem will be able to accept responsibility, build optimistic attitude. Have you seen people that you are trying to relate to and say, you can do it, and they keep on telling you, I cannot do it? He said, but this is not who you are. You may not be able to, you may have failure, or you may have difficulty in this course or in this aspect, but this is not who you are. You can do any. Person kept on telling you, I cannot do it. I cannot even do it. And for as long as the person does not see himself doing anything good, there's nothing you can do. Says someone with positive self-esteem makes a person more sensitive to other people's needs and develop a caring attitude. Because he will not only help himself, he will also be able to help others. It makes a person self-motivated and ambitious. It makes a person open to new opportunities and challenges. And like our last speaker said, he said every need that you think you have is an opportunity to reach out to fill other people's, want, and then you solve their problem. And as soon as you begin to solve problem, you are getting to where God has planned you to be. When you have good self-esteem, you have courage to drive life. Good life, you don't get it on the bed of roses. Everyone that has become great in life has been faced with opposition and challenges and in life. But when you do not have self-esteem that will drive you to get to where you have envisioned yourself to be, it will just be in your imagination. Then you have power to believe in yourself, confident to make healthy choices. Do you know that people that they don't believe in themselves, when you see, I'm going to read out, I'm taking more time, characteristics of people with low self-esteem. They will begin to chase after other people in an unhealthy manner. They will have unhealthy rivalry. Not because they have seen that they can achieve what other people are achieving and then they work at it. But at the end of the day, they will find themselves on a playground of unhealthy rivalry. Treating yourself with value and respect and realizing that every part of you is worth caring for and protecting will help you to keep a healthy attitude towards yourself and whatsoever you do in life. Research has shown key differences between individuals with high and low self-esteem. For example, people with high self-esteem focus on growth and improvement. I'm not saying that someone with good self-esteem will not fail. I've not said that. Or you may not have opposition or challenges. But the focus will be on growth and improvement. Whereas people with low esteem focus on not making mistakes in life. They try as much as possible not to make a mistake. But sometimes, making of mistake is inevitable. You learn from it and you become better. But when you now focus, I don't want to make a mistake. Is there someone who will never make a mistake? No. People with low self-esteem, you see them withdrawing in the face of challenges. They become insecure. They underrate themselves. Sometimes they become hostile because they see every other person as opponents. They are unmotivated. Sometimes they are depressed. They have poor self-image. In fact, they have poor communication. And they lack self-confidence. As I round off, is there anything I can do if my self-esteem is low? Yes. If you feel frustrated or too annoyed or upset to talk, try going for a walk or a race. Listen to music or do a favorite activity with someone you enjoy being with. Let me quickly read out some ways you can keep a positive attitude or you can overcome low self-esteem. Number one, God created us with our uniqueness. Everyone has unique qualities. Focus on those, itemize them. Those areas that you know you are good at. You cannot be good at everything. Focus on those ones. Focus on your education. Learning gives you the power to make a difference in your life and the life of others. Do you know that people who get frustrated about life and then they try to pull out of school? That's not the solution. Focus on getting the requisite knowledge. Participating in a variety of sports and activities that will help you build your self-image. Taking up a new learning or hobby to do something better. And setting and reaching new goals for yourself. What you want to achieve in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months. There are people that you look up to as mentor. Follow them. Speak to them. People that you know that they are better than you. And they can become You can become better by looking at them. And then lastly, being an inspiration to yourself and to others. I believe that because of our time, you have gained something. And you can take time to also read more about how to build self-image. Good and positive self-image. Because your image tells more about you. If you don't have good self-image, you cannot go far. You will not be able to perform up to the expectation that probably God is expecting from you. Not even just your parents. But with good self-image, even when you fail or you make a mistake, you know that is not the end of the world. You can continue. You can become better. I believe I've spoken to you. And I've also spoken to myself.